I don't know, man. Here, I'll call him.
Yeah,
I'll put on speaker.
call him real quick. I mean,
He knows what time it starts.
Exactly. I mean, like we've been doing this pretty consistently now. Never mind.
Joined.
Never mind. He's here. Wait, is he? Wait a minute. Crick?
He must.
Weird.
He must have joined in one upstairs. Probably grabbing a glass of water or something.
Oh yeah, probably. Well, I guess we'll just have to find a way to kill some time.
Did someone say something about killing?
What? Wait a minute. Who are you?
Who am I?
Is that Crick?
You invited me on this show.
It's gotta be Crick. It's gotta be Crick.
I don't think we're doing any guests on the show yet. I don't think we're ready for that.
I am not this Crick.
You're not Crick.
You know who I am.
You're not Crick.
You summoned me. You invited me here.
We invited you?
We did?
On your last show. You said you wonder how hard death is. I'm here to show you death is hard. You think life's hard? You should see death.
Wait a minute. Are you actually deaf?
No. I'm some hooligan in a mask. What do you think?
Ah, yeah.
If that's the case, what's it mean? Death's hard.
I see. This
boy.
This has got to be one. This is just it's either Crick or it's one of his neighbors just like broke in something. You
think I'm
I don't know who this guy is.
Yeah, man. This is
immortal.
This is
I am not no mere mortal.
Well, I'm gonna let Crick some immortal weirdo is in his basement.
This is ridiculous. I should have just done another episode with Seth. At least he has the money to pay me for a Family Guy episode.
Absolutely, man. Go ahead, do an episode with Seth. He probably legitimately likes somebody. I don't know who you are, man.
You wasted my time. You summoned me here by name and asked me to be on your show, and I go out of my way of killing and slaying and slaughtering all the creatures to be on your show. And you're not even prepared!
You're so busy, why do you go on Family Guy so often?
Do you know how much money they pay me?
I can imagine
what do you
how
need
much
money for?
they pay you.
I need new size from time to time, and I gotta keep my jewelry tight.
Frick.
Yeah, man, give him a call. This is just odd.
Hey dude. Sorry, I just got home.
You just got home?
You just
got home?
What? Hold on.
There's nobody like in there, right? There's nobody around you? No, like under your desk?
No,
nobody creeping around?
No, like you're the only one that's home right now?
I just walked in the stairs.
Put your headphones on before you hang up. That way Wally can hear everything too.
Okay.
Or he can hear what I'm saying as well.
I just want to make sure he's got vocals with someone before. So that dude didn't leave. That dude just dropped to the side and hid there.
What dude?
Right? That's what you saw? The light came on. He didn't go to those stairs, did he?
What dude? What are you talking about? I must have not turned off my computer and my light. Like
there wasn't just a person in your chair that was dressed as Death.
You didn't see
I missed that. No one. I didn't walk by somebody dressed as Death.
That is crazy.
You're saying
you're the only one that's home.
He's doing a bit.
Yeah.
He's got somebody hiding down there in the corner.
He's playing jokes or something.
What do you mean? You're doing the bit. Is this the intro? Or are you guys doing this for the intro? Or are you gonna fuck with me and like, oh, Death was in your basement, so you should be scared? And like, are you afraid of death? No.
Do you think he paid somebody to sit down there for 3 hours while we talk about random shit?
Who knows, man? Who knows? But let's let's
Yeah.
let's get this going.
Whatever. Okay. All right.
Crick, you want to start us off?
Yeah.
All right, I'll give you a countdown in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Ma's Garage.
On today's episode, join us as we talk about death and the duty of dying.
Are we really dying, or are our bodies more expiring?
What's worth dying for?
What are some of the different ways people view death? All right, so death. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about it?
And the duty.
Something's up. Something's up with your screen. Something looks off.
Yeah, I feel like this is normally like. Yeah.
I've been fine
My
all day.
microphone's really far too.
Hmm.
That's weird.
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah, death, and dying, and stuff about dying.
And the fact that we all have to do it, it's our responsibility.
Yeah.
That and taxes are the two guarantees in life we've been told.
Yep. That's so true. It's the only thing you can guarantee.
100%.
Only thing you can count on.
But then it comes down to how the person views death, and kind of like what Kev's question was, like the different ways that people view death. Like people view it as the end. People view it as a new beginning. And people view it as like something that's negative that can end like a family per se. Like if like the breadwinner were to die, then like the family can't recover per se. And then
And
you
it's
have
used for
some others
alliance.
that like that person dies and then that family does some things that they didn't do previously, and they actually start to grow more because they don't have that other person that was essentially like the
Crutch.
like the either the
You hate to
crutch
say
or
it
more
about death,
of
but-
like the log that was in like the gears or something.
Well,
like
that's
that.
how nature works. Like the one that gets picked off by the lions, it's not the most fit wildebeest. It's the one at the back of the pack. It's the sick one. It's the one it's so that
Or the
other
baby.
ones get more traditions, or the baby. But that goes back to its parents, where its parents are they defending it, they're gonna go help it. There's tons of stories where the parent comes in and
Mhm.
saves it.
Oh
So
yeah,
it's
you
like,
you see those videos all the time where like
oh,
the baby is being pursued by the lion or the cheetah or whatever, and like the mom will like, or yeah, mostly the mom will like slow down so that it can defend their baby, and then the baby can escape, and then the mom can escape because it defended the baby.
right, and that mom is putting her life at risk to do that. You know what I mean? Like could die in that instance, but it's because she's put enough energy out there. She's had offspring, and she's like, now my offspring can. And even if I don't win this battle, my offspring got away where they can go on for another day.
It's because they
So
have
it's like death can create life. You know what I mean? Like death, just as some as that lion. Yeah, it may be sad that he ate a baby, but if that lion doesn't eat the babies or other things, it's gonna die. Something's
yeah,
gonna
it
die.
needs
It's the circle of life,
fuel
right? It
in
has to
order to
happen.
live,
Like-
in order to reproduce, and that's the animal mentality: is live, eat, reproduce.
Yeah, even
Mhm.
like if you're vegetarian or vegan, you can't get away from it. You're still killing plants. Like we make it such a hard differentiation between like plants and animals, but we do that with
It's-
humans and animals too. We're animals. Why we
Yeah.
gotta differentiate ourselves? Like plants are just as much living. They can move. They can like.
We're just choosing which living thing we're eating
Yep.
and which one we
At
think
the,
is
at
okay
the end
to
of the
eat.
at the end of the
Well,
day,
we can be okay with.
like
Yeah.
I suppose we realize that like you have to draw nutrients from a level of life, and like plants have life, animals have life, and of the food that we're eating is if it's not like 100% synthesized and something that was like made in a factory per se, we're drawing nutrients and we're drawing life, and that's what's growing our own life.
Yeah.
Energy is neither created nor destroyed. It's only transferred, right?
You're
Absolutely.
even in that factory setting, you're still drawing from the life force of the people who made that for you. They
That too.
dedicated some of their time that they'll never get back, part of their life.
That
to
is
make that
also
for
true.
you,
That
you
is
know?
also true.
The people who do this stuff for us. And that's why you have to be more appreciative about everything. Like we're in such a disconnected world from that, as we don't think about that. That like people are giving their lives for the stuff that we get, and you're just like, okay, cool, another thing, another
Right.
thing.
Add that to the list and
Mhm.
the pile of growing things not to be used.
Literally. And it's a growing pile that will always be growing. Like I feel like there's no end.
But there is an end when you die, and
That's
it doesn't
also
matter
true.
to you at all.
Well,
Because
does that
that's it.
stop that pile from growing? That pile just moves on to the next, or gets dispersed to
Or gets
other
thrown
piles.
away
Yeah.
because they
I
don't
guess
care what it's about.
It
I had
goes
this
to another
conversation-
pile.
Yeah, or garbage pile. Yeah.
Yeah, the death of garbage.
That's
of
what
the pile.
I was talking to someone recently about like the art, and they were talking about what they want to do with like their art after they die and different like pieces, because like to them it has so much value, but someone going through their house is just going to be like, well, I don't want this. You know what I mean?
Right.
Toss it in the trash. And so it's like they know that they don't care after they die. They know they're not going to give a shit, but right now they do because
Right.
they want that thing to move on after they've died. You know what I mean? And it's like it's that connection to our things, you know, but you really really gonna give a fuck when you're dead?
I actually
do you know?
I-
Do you
I
know
don't
anybody
know.
who's
I
dead
don't.
that
I
told
might
you?
really care. I might, like the Egyptians thought it went with you, so that's why they sent them all in the pyramids. With
Right.
you. It's like, here, take it all with you.
Right.
all
Take your shit with
all
you.
your possessions. Like we don't want it. You
We
can
don't
have
want it.
It actually had me thinking about something earlier today, like something that like I've been doing as a hobby, and I've told you guys about this. Like the area that I live in, people throw away things all the time. How I got my monitor, how I've found a couch, how I found a shop vac, floodlights. Like this list,
Yeah.
I need to really write this list down and see how far I can grow this list. A snowboard for a little girl learning how to snowboard. Like I found the snowboard, and then we added some new bindings, and like this, she loves this snowboard. This is like I've found so many things that have been thrown away. These people have thrown this stuff in the trash and declared it dead, declared it like this is the end of this thing's life. And then someone like me finds it, gives it new life, and like
Resurrection.
gives it a new place. Like I plan to use these floodlights. We plan to use this shop vac. I am using this monitor currently. There's the couch that I found my friend is currently using in her living room, and it is insanely comfortable. Like all these things that it astounds me why these people are throwing them away. And that's why that's one thing I really, really like about this area is that you always have these things that are my dresser, a 10-drawer dresser, like all these things
on
that
the curb.
just
You're
on the
creating
curb.
two new forms of life. from that.
They don't want to go through the trouble of fixing it, and they'd rather just get a new one.
Well, and not only are you giving that item new life, you're saving the life of the materials that go into that item, whether it is the clearing of forests, the cutting down of trees, the whatever. But you refurbishing that desk instead of going out and buying a new wood desk, you're saving two lives with one action. And like, you know, by appreciating death and respecting death, and like to them it may be dead, but to you see potential and you see like a resurrection. Like you work with what you got.
And I mean, like if I gave like a dollar value to these things, that like it adds up, and this is all stuff that I got for free.
Right.
I the level of my gas to get some of this stuff, which I picked up the monitor. Oh my God, I was so excited. Like when I found this thing, and I'm just like, I cannot wait. And I'm very happy. I've got the adapter, like everything has been working with it. And I am just very, very thankful for that.
You just made me think that's how vultures feel. They're like, people are going to leave all this like free energy just laying on the ground. Yeah, I'll do something with that. Like you're just gonna leave it here.
I'm gonna swoop in. I'm gonna get that mouse.
They're really the most frugal of animals.
Right.
Kingdom.
Nah, that's not worth my energy. Nah,
you can't throw that away.
Yeah.
And then it also kind of makes you wonder, like, what if it was a law that you could not take other people's garbage? Like, what if truly when you throw things away, you can't do anything about that? You just have to see that stuff on the side of the road, and then it's eventually going to get picked up and it's going to be thrown into this giant pile. I feel like if we had a law like that, that's how we get closer and closer to idiocracy.
Right. Well, they already have something like that. They have a law where your product can only last so long. You know what I mean? Where it has like a certain lifetime. So it's like
and
they
especially
plan for your product
think
to
about
die,
the
so you have to
phones
buy
that
more
have
stuff.
such a small shelf life. Like phones only last 2 or 3 years per se.
Right.
It's just insane. It's insane how the society that we've created, we just expect to have all these new things at our fingertips. Like things can't be used and things can't be like on their last leg. Like it's got to be brand spanking new and it's got to work right
Everything.
now.
Right.
That's, oh my gosh. And that's where doing like even just random projects. Like I did this epoxy thing the other day and, you know, it came out like crap. But then once I cleaned it up and did a little bit of like the elbow grease work, it's like, man, there's so much junk that I've seen in the world that this is probably all it takes to make it new again. There's a little bit of effort and then it's back to life.
It's like those dang refurbishing videos on YouTube that are just addicting because they'll just take something that's old and decrepit and beat down and it just looks like crap. And then you're like, I want that. I want that so bad.
Beautiful.
Like, and just the process, the meticulous, and just see those things restored, the restorative, like from death to life. And like, it makes you appreciate it. It makes you appreciate like,
and I think at the heart of it, that's one thing that I really like about it is that like all I had to do was, and I already had the power cord for this monitor, but this monitor was on the side of the road. It didn't have any cords to it. So as long as, thankfully I had a power cord that fits it.
Who are these monsters throwing these things away without the power cords?
I think it's because I used to watch those restoration shows and like I was always fascinated by like the process of like restoring something to its like prime per se. Like I think that's what shows me, that's why I see the value in getting the stuff, is that I'm giving it new life, that I'm gonna give it a spit shine per se and give it a new home.
Right. Just because its useful life is done with someone else doesn't mean it has to be done with anyone else.
Well, it might even be dead. They just got a new one.
Else, yeah,
they got something new, and to them it was done. To them, it's a new thing. They don't want the old thing.
That's all it is you need the shiny. But like you said, you know, you just gotta buff it up a little bit, clean it up,
little elbow grease,
yeah,
a little care and patience.
Give a little bit of effort. Right?
Yeah. We're so quick to just let things die, you know what I mean? And in a lot of aspects, you know what I mean? Like we devalue things that aren't ourselves or aren't humanity. And like we can disassociate ourselves from a lot of different forms of death if we allow it to.
I feel like it's been incorporated in a lot of different ways to kind of, it's almost desensitized the word death and dying. Like the batteries are dead.
I'm dead today. I'm just dead. I can't do anything.
I feel dead. Like, do you really feel dead, or are you just kind of feeling less than 100%? Like, what sounds better?
And that's kind of where it's like a hard concept to teach like kids. It's like, yeah, the batteries are dead, so you put new batteries in, and oh look, it's back. But it's like, oh no, buddy, grandma's dead. Oh, she can just get new batteries, right? Okay.
Right.
It works that way, buddy. We're not quite there yet.
Yeah. It's crazy to think about. I don't know.
That's what's weird with our phones too. Like my phone's dying. It's dying. And it's like, no, it's not. It's not dying. It's running out of battery. That battery's not even going to be dead. You can recharge it. Like it's weird, that terminology. Yeah, it's like draining, but no, it's dying. My phone's going to die. Like that's such dramatic terminology about our phones. Like,
why don't we just call that like uncharging?
Right.
Oh, my phone's uncharging.
It's like
that just
disconnected.
sounds odd.
But it's because that's all.
It only sounds odd
dying.
because yes.
Like we've associated with dying and death, and like because it's your phone's so vital to people, you know what I mean? So to them it is. Like if my phone is dead, oh my God, I can't do anything. I can't talk to anybody. I can't, you know what I mean? I can't check Facebook. Like to some people, that's their whole life is on their phone.
That's true.
And another thing that I think is also funny, like some people will use like I'm dead in terms of like something like cracked me up to the highest degree that like it killed me. Like I died from laughter.
Right. And there's also I died a little inside,
or like something like
sitting through that I died.
Like a friend of mine was going through her Instagram and she came across a post that was like something that was like insanely cute per se, and she's just like I am dead, and I saw her like melt in the couch, and I'm just like, it really did kill her. And I think it might have, it was, I don't remember the post 100%, but it was like a dog that was like dressed in something. It was like a dog with like its owner, something that was like insanely cute. Like even I thought, I was like, oh wow, yeah, that's a cute photo.
You could die happy after seeing it. Right?
Yeah.
That's another phrase, you know. I repeat that. That's one I haven't
can
heard in a
die
long time. I
happy.
can die
Yeah,
happy now.
I could
Oh,
die happy.
I feel like we used to hear that a lot growing up.
Yeah, try to make someone happy nowadays. That's why no one's
It's
dying
impossible.
happy.
That's true.
You think about some people that have died, and like you never had that chance to really ask them, like, do you feel happy about dying?
Yeah.
Because there's some people in my life that I wish I could have asked that to. I feel like they would have not said that they were happy.
Yeah.
Like and that could be even on like a bunch of different levels. Like, are you satisfied with what you accomplished before
And
this game?
some people
or-
feel like they didn't some people feel like they didn't accomplish enough. Some people feel like things were taken from them, or their life was taken from them, that like it was out of their control. But at the end of the day, it's all choices that you make.
everything.
That's where. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say that's just where death has become my motivation lately. Like I have a list of shit on my board that I stare at and I go, "You're gonna die one day. You're gonna die one day."
That
And if
is
you
true.
don't start doing stuff right now, that stuff's not gonna get done. And I don't want to feel like that when I die. I don't want to sit on my deathbed and be like, "What if I would have done that?"
That's
What
how
if-
you, that's
what
how
if
you
I-
have
what if- what if-
spirits
what if?
that
No
have
what ifs.
unfulfilled business. And like the like some of the TV shows that like made made fun of it or whatever. But like when like a ghost will not leave like the plane of existence because it has unfinished business. And then if like something that it can finally like communicate to, like that was the whole, the show is called Deadbeat on Hulu. It's a Hulu
Oh yeah.
original.
Yep.
I knew what you were talking
Oh my
Yep.
God, that show is awesome because he was actually able to talk to the ghosts and actually able to like fulfill their like unfinished business. And then they had the satisfaction that they could move on knowing that like what they wanted in their life was fulfilled in terms of
Yeah.
like someone doing something or someone getting out of someone or something or like whatever that unfulfilled the business was. It brought a new perspective to valuing what you can do with the time that you have.
Right.
The best part too is like he wasn't some well-to-do, I'm gonna do all the right thing. He was
He
some
tried
dude
his
who,
hardest not to do it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just the thing that he was given. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It was
and
just
he was
fucking-
the person, like every single one of the ghosts were all like, you can see me, you can hear me, because they can't communicate to anyone else. And he's just
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, I can. Here we go. What do you
Another one.
need?
Yeah.
But then I think like sometimes he would receive like a level of payment. Like the go like
He always got comeuppance. Something always happens where he benefited from helping. It's that-
something.
It was always that good thing for a good thing.
There was that one ghost that was like, yeah, you're gonna get my fortune. And then at the end of the episode, he's just like, so where's the fortune? He's like, the fortune's in the journey. And I'm just like, oh my God.
But maybe that's the message, you know. That's actually
That was
a good
his
point.
message.
That's so because well,
That was
that
his
just-
message, but
what
like
that
the
primed
guy,
in
but
me
the
is
guy's
like-
I need rent money, man.
What that kind of primed to me a little bit though is just like it is the journey. It's not that like you can feel unfulfilled at death because like you said there can be unforeseen circumstances, but it's the dedication you set for yourself in life because it's like you got to understand that unforeseens are going to be thrown at you and your plan's got to be able to assess and adjust. So it's like you might not be able to attain that goal in the way that you thought you would, but find a different, even if it's a small way to still attain those things that you're shooting for. And it's like you can restructure that. It's the journey you go through and just living in the moment, like not fearing death, not straying away from it, not trying to get away from it, but just like you're going to die one day. And that's just a fact you have to suck up and go on with and do what you want with it. But if you fear it, fear is only going to stifle you.
You got to seize it. Just like you said with the art stuff, you know, you want it, you care about that, you value that. No, somebody else may not give and nobody
No.
else may care
Right
about
now,
it.
nobody does because nobody knows what it is.
Right.
You know, so no
But-
one gives a shit but me right now. No one on this planet gives a shit but me.
But that
It
same
comes
piece of
down to
art,
how do I convey my message to the people
well,
to
not
be
even that,
perceived as the
but-
same message?
not even that, but that same piece of art, going back to the journey philosophy of it, is when somebody asks you about a piece of art, does the first thing that comes to your mind is
How
to
long
describe-
it took
is to
them to
describe-
make it?
is to describe why you did the certain things you did on there, or to describe the process and how you came up with what you came up with?
See,
Like,
that's
I guess it's the same thing, but
no, it isn't. It
No.
isn't because I don't give with the process. I never talk about the process of how I did it because to me that's like a frustrating thing that I don't think I'm very aware of myself.
Do
I
you
always
talk about
oh, I did that because of this, like because I'm trying to defend why I did what I did and why it's art.
do you ever
Right.
talk
And it's
about
like,
the
I did it on
process
purpose, I
with-
swear.
Do you ever talk about the process with other artists that'll appreciate it over
Yes.
like non-artists?
Yes.
It comes down, yeah, that at that point, it just comes down to your audience, knowing who you're talking to and knowing how to talk to them.
Right. That's very true too. Like that's the thing is like I don't expect someone to notice something artistic who doesn't look at a bunch of art. You're not going
Right.
to notice the balance. You're not going to notice
Mhm.
the hues and the saturation. That may be another part of your life that you're concerned, but like I'm not expecting that out of you. You know, neither am I expecting out of someone who's a professional, but you know what I mean? I'm expecting more out of them than I am of them.
right.
Absolutely.
And you probably describe it differently, to the different people
Yeah.
when explaining your
And
art.
especially because you've got some people that just, quite frankly, don't care.
Yeah, it's kind of like you said, going back into it, where it's like I said, things get thrown at you. It's like with my pieces of art, like you said, they're messages. There's something kind of message that I've learned over my life that I'm incorporating into an art form. And it's like, you're right, because one of them started as a screenplay and now as a book. Because to me, that was the best way to try to get it out there faster for being an inexperienced writer. And so it's the message and how you want to go it. So like, yeah, I might have changed. No, I might not have write a screenplay, but now I'm writing a book, but I'm still accomplishing the same first goal. It wasn't to write a screenplay. It wasn't to write a book. It was to
Just
get the
this
story out
idea.
there.
Yeah.
Like, and that's where it's
To
just
share
where's your intent?
idea.
I feel like that's
Yeah.
kind of the reason why like the creators of South Park started South Park, because like at the time that South Park was started, there was no animation that was really like it. So like they were pioneers in like their own way. And it
Yeah.
just everything it grew to, like they never imagined it was going to grow to a cult following. They never
No.
imagined it was going to grow to a point that they were like able to like incorporate musicals, which the Book of Mormon is one of like the top grossing musicals in the entire industry of musicals, which I think is amazing.
Yeah. And all doing it with freaking cutout paper, and it's like,
And like the different movies that they've done.
right. That's a conversation that every time I said this to a friend today, and every time we say this, it makes me feel great. What we're building now is not a podcast. The podcast is just a part of it. We're building an empire. We're building something grander than that to
Mhm.
accentuate all the things that we want to do in life. Like this empire is our bucket list. This is our avenue to do all the weird things that we've always talked about and wanted to do.
This
And
makes
we're
it.
making it into fruition.
And
Yes,
to
it-
and
It
to
makes
a-
it
yeah,
seem like it's our professional thing to do, the things we want to do.
So we can give it value. And
And
it's
to a
sad
sense,
that we have
yes,
to do
a
that
way
much
for
for
yes.
all
ourselves,
of us
that
to
value.
That it is
maintain
okay to
our
talk
friendship
about
and
this.
It's
stuff.
okay to do what you want
That
to do.
too,
Like,
keep
What
it
was that?
going.
like before we were doing the podcast and we weren't necessarily like communicating as much. We still had our friendship, but now that we're doing this podcast and we're communicating more, like it's like our friendship level was like not necessarily on a decline, but just in terms of like energy of the friendship. And then the podcast just kind of brought it back.
Dude, the same conversation I was saying, I said that to them. I said, whether nobody watches this show ever, I got to talk with you guys and reconnect with you guys every single week. And I've got to explore myself on some deeper levels that I've never got to explore myself by having
Mhm.
conversations with you guys. That's a win. Like whatever reason, I've already won. So anything else on top of that is extra. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's true. Like,
And it's like I've been telling a lot of my friends, like it gives me a lot of reason to look forward to, like when I'm at work, looking forward to like getting out of work and like being able to like get
Work
ready
on this
to like
and
get
do
my
this.
mindset ready for this. Exactly.
Right.
Like getting out of work, coming home and doing some editing, or like getting ready for the business meeting, or like getting ready for this podcast, and then getting ready for like the anime sessions. And it's just it gives me
Finding
something
ways
to look
to make
forward
it
to.
so we can keep doing the things that we like doing,
Right.
and try to do less of the things we have to do.
Because
Absolutely.
the sad truth, like any relationship, is
Have
like
to do.
friendships can die, relationships
Oh,
can
yeah.
die, they can fizzle out. And like I know tons of people who in high school especially were like you could not separate them, and they don't talk no more. And it's like,
I have
wow.
no idea what the other person's doing.
There are a lot of people in my own life that like we used to be really social. Like you couldn't separate us per se. We were always like hanging out.
Mhm. Yep.
Now we just don't talk.
And some of that's you growing into different people and going different ways. And you know, you may be able to click when you guys hang out again, but you just don't, you're just grown in different ways. Like
Yeah.
that side of you has
each their
died.
like it yes, in that regards, like some people, like I think like over time, like things happen that you're just kind of like, well, if we're not going to reconcile, then it is what it is. But then if things happen and then you reconcile, you're like putting forth effort that you want to maintain the friendship.
Yeah,
Yes.
you're moving forward.
Right. And even if it's just
Some type of progress.
even if it's just an understanding, it's like, yo, like we may not be friends, we may not have to be friends, but we can just be cordial with each other, especially
Mhm.
too if like you're in the same friend group and you have to see
Oh,
all the same
absolutely.
people.
Oh,
and you
absolutely.
don't get along. It's like that shouldn't have to like
Why
break
make
up
it
a friend
awkward
group.
for everybody else?
Right.
And
Because
I've
you
been
two
in
don't get
I've been in
Mm.
along.
some cases
Yeah.
where like I didn't realize two of my friends were like having a feud per se, and like seeing
Behind
them
the scenes
have a
stuff.
moment at like a gathering that like I orchestrated, that like not, and I invited them both, not realizing that they had just had like a thing. And it made me realize I need to do my research a little bit more ahead of having gatherings.
Yeah,
That,
this-
or even if they come forward and tell you, like, how are you supposed to know, right?
Yeah,
like,
you
why
can't
would you
keep
even
track of
even
everybody's
ask that?
personal
To a
qualms.
degree, yeah.
Like
Here's an invite. Here's the guest list. You don't have a problem with any of these people on this list here, do you? Oh, okay, good.
Yeah,
Sign
basically.
here.
yeah. Oh, you do?
Are you
Okay, then
supposed to do
don't
that
come
with
to the
everybody?
party.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it
Be
like
cordial.
now
You
now
cannot
it's
get
just
along with
more
people and
like
be
knowing
cordial.
which
That's
of
on
your
them.
friends don't get along
To a
with each
point, I
other,
guess. Depends what
so
the other
you
person
know
is.
which ones to invite and which ones not to.
Right. But if
Yeah.
they don't make that obvious, you're not a mind reader, right?
Yeah.
True. There is a give and a take there.
Unless there were signs. But we can't always see the signs either.
That's kind of like
Depending,
like
yeah.
with a family, like when when someone dies, even like commits suicide or something, like it's not just hard on that, it's like hard on the whole family. It's an event for that whole person.
It's a
And it's the
shockwave, right?
Yeah, and it's
Because
the same thing with the death of
people-
a friendship, because like you have like when a friendship breaks up in a group and something happens between them two, they date the same girl or something things and splits the group.
It's
You can
almost
have
like
this turmoil from death. Like
meteor impacts in small bursts where it hits waves and affects just certain people, you know,
Yeah.
because it's an
It's-
explosion of energy that was there and now it's not there.
And it's a blow to the trust of that was built through that friendship.
Yeah.
Like when something like that
Yeah.
happens where you're like, I don't know if I can trust this person.
That death though can push you, it can be a positive thing though, it can push you towards people that more appreciate you and you more relate with, you know what I mean? So
That
just
or-
because that doesn't end, it's, you know, you could be put next to them because of circumstances. Most of our friends we find are because of jobs or school or because people
I've
that
noticed
are,
that.
are related around you. Same even with relationships. And it's like,
Convenience.
maybe you two don't get along. And it's like, so maybe that's telling you to go find new friends. You know what I mean? Find people who more relate with you.
Mm-hmm. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you have some people that they don't have a lot of friends, and you might be one of their only friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say that of myself. I don't have a large group of friends. I have a small group of close friends, but all of them I could call in the middle of the night. All of them I could ask favors for. You know, I've helped them. They've helped me. Like, it's not a
We don't
bunch of
keep
friends.
tally.
No.
And it's where I feel like I talked to a lot of people when I was in high school and stuff. And I've met a lot of people over my years, but
Mm-hmm.
And some
outside
I'm
of these three,
friendly
there's
with.
a handful. Yeah.
I'm friends with some people or acquaintances, and I'll hang out with them outside of work and I'll go do things. but like to be my friend, to be like my good friend is I confide in you. Like I trust you with everything. Like
And
I may hang out with you
that's
outside of work. That doesn't mean I trust you with my house. You know what I mean?
right.
Like,
It's
Right.
kind of
Like that's a
interesting how
limited
we
level
find those
thing.
people.
It is.
And it's like you were saying,
be
like,
yourself.
You have
Be
like
yourself.
like you
all the
have
time.
you have your friends that have been with you since day one. You have your friends that you got through school, college, per se. You have your friends that you've acquired through like work, and then just like whatever other facets. Like I think about like my circle and like how I still like have like a few people from school, a few people from college, and like a few people from some of my jobs. And like, and it's not to say that like if I saw some of my other coworkers that I wouldn't necessarily put in that same category, but if I saw them outside of work, I'm going to be cordial. I'm going to say, hey, how's it going? Are you still at blah, blah, blah? Like we haven't talked. I don't know.
Right.
And it comes down to how you want to be. Like I'll have this conversation with some people that don't feel like they have a lot of friends. Like at what point do you ask yourself why? And is it more of you don't want to start new friendships that you're willing to let existing ones die?
Well,
or that
that's the
you
thing
just
too. Does
don't
there
want
have to be a
have
trade-off?
friendships?
You could also be drawn to the wrong type of people, or keep pushing yourself into the wrong
Or
crowd.
that, like,
you know,
some people having things that happen outside of their control, but at the end of the day, you chose to have involvement with this person, but then you would never expect what these people would think of and do to some of these people, and they just completely take advantage of some of these other people. It really, like, anyone can do anything at any time, and it just makes me thankful that like
All
none
of
of
us are
my other
capable of the
friends,
same thing, right?
like knock on wood, none of my other friends have ever like tried to stab me in the back or like tried to like double cross me or like done anything to like try and like do anything to me, because I've never given anyone any reason. I can't say that. I haven't done as many of reasons that have given people reasons to have a level of resentment to me. That's the kind of life that I try to live, is that I don't want to, and I understand that like to each their own. I can't change people's views, but I can try and control as much of my actions now to have less resentment with more people.
And just be yourself inside of that, though. Like, yes, not everybody's gonna like you, though.
Oh, of course.
No, you know what I mean? That
should never be the goal.
So
of
be
course,
because
yourself.
then you can never be
inside of
you,
that.
right?
Yeah,
of course. And sometimes when things will happen, sometimes it just takes one thing, like one experience for you to learn from, that you never want to be in that experience again.
Yep.
And that you question why you even allowed yourself to be in that one experience in the first place.
Or even how did I get here?
Yep.
Do a flashback, real quick flashbacks of everything that led you.
And honestly, honestly, just like having like my decompressing moments, like smoking cigarettes. And I think I've said this a couple times. Like, I'll think of like good memories, but I'll also think of like really, really bad memories of like, why did you allow yourself to do this? Like, why did you allow this to happen? Like stuff that I was in full control of, that I just chose to do other things. And it just astounds me, the choices that I decided to make.
When you shock yourself at how many poor decisions you could make in a row.
That hurt.
But sometimes though you didn't.
That hurt. Maybe this time it'll hurt less. No, still the same.
One more time.
How many of those can you link back and say, man, and on that first step, I really second guessed it, but I went for it anyway, and like, it just kept going.
That's where the conversation I was having with my friend today, like they were saying that like they were kind of in awe and like very kind of respecting that we have had a friendship this long and are still capable of sitting down and having conversations like that, and are courageous enough to test it by going into a somewhat of a business-esque environment together. You know what I mean? And it's like that is
because
like,
it is a risk.
But it was more than just the friendships lasted, because a lot of people don't have friendships that last that long. You know, and there's so many people who
people do different things. People move on and do other things.
Yeah, right. And so it's just like, it's I appreciate that about that and us, and I appreciate that about you guys. You know what I mean? Like, that's
I
I
don't
don't know.
I've never really had good luck of finding people who can just come up with random stuff to talk about as
Right.
often as we can.
That's
That's where I get joy, man, just talking about random stuff with people.
You don't talk to enough drug abusers.
well, sometimes though, because I'll say that working at a dispo, that can go too far in the other direction. We get weird, but some of those can get a little more on a different level. But
Everybody's got their thing, right?
yeah,
Oh yeah. And that's where like I appreciate people's story more than I appreciate like what the story was about.
Right. Like
telling-
seeing their emotion behind it.
how
Yeah.
much did you care about it? Yeah, like because you care, I care. You know what I mean? Like the emotion. It's just like you feed off people's energy all the time. You feed off people's energy in the work environment. Like we don't really care the story. We need your energy. We need to consume you.
Absolutely.
That's what it is. That's all talking is transferring energy again.
It is, you know, it's just transferring ideas and little synapses, and you're making little explosions in each other's brains, you know, like that was another thing she commended. It's like she said most other people that she knows of our gender, and especially our age group, don't have the deeper intricate conversations like we do. It's more about sports. It's about, you know, more basic things in cars. And,
I've noticed the same, especially
and
when
it's
I
like-
hang out with some of my other friends, like what we're talking about, the different topics. Like I know how those
Nice.
people are, so I know the different topics that we're going to talk about, and I know that we're not going to have very many like philosophical conversations per se, because they're not a very philosophical person. They are
if you
more
try to find ways to
following
sneak them in
sports,
there.
but that's also something that we have in common. That's what some of our some of the foundation of our friendship is built on, like some of those topics, because
Right.
it's just something that we've consistently followed, something
how
that's
you relate.
consistently had our interest.
exactly.
And yes, how we relate to one another.
And that's where, like, the only other place I've had even close to that is at the dispensary that I'm working at now. And it's always kind of happened at all dispensary. I guess it's kind of been like this. Is like you have some pretty deep conversations at dispensaries. Like
I can believe that.
as a group, like you'll just all sit around, especially like upcoming like popular topics and all this other stuff, because you already all smoke weed. You already, you know what I mean? You break laws, and it's not as all the taboos aren't there as much. So like we'll just sit down and group converse about big topics and about deeper topics that you wouldn't talk about in a lot of work environments.
You should
And
just
it's kind of
have-
nice.
You should just have like a recorder, just like recording, and
It'd be
then
so awesome. So many different walks of life that are talking.
hit pause when someone walks into the store, because you that way you don't have to ask them their permission if they want to be recorded, and then you hit play and then continue the recording when like it's only when there's like no one else in the, like no customers per se.
It would be so nice. It happens so organically though. It's not like we sit down and it's like literally like sometimes, not every day, not all the time, but
You just got to have that handy dandy
some
recorder
days,
on you.
right, exactly. I need to have it in my back pocket. But dude, yeah,
Even just like use your phone, just like hit record and then just like place it down.
yeah, I have to tell them all though.
Oh yeah,
Hey,
like
let's just
they
keep going.
need to understand, like
Right.
they give you their permission, but you're just kind of like, I want to record
Why
this
am I
because we're
famous on
having an
YouTube?
organic conversation and I want to listen to this.
Yeah, it is. It's just so many different walks of life. It is very interesting and worth going back and listening to, because even our
Mhm.
conversations, I get more information the second time we listen to and watch our videos. You know what I mean? It's like a
You
different
recatch
level.
stuff.
Yeah, and it's like I can better because like you've talked about too, is like you're not in that battle of what am I going to say next, or how do I respond, or what do they mean?
You can
Like,
just listen.
just listen. All you have to do is listen, which is I try to take in even more of my normal talking. It's just
There's no trying to hold on to the thought that you're trying not to lose
right.
on
Right.
the tip of your tongue.
Just being organic with it.
Trying not to let the thought die.
Which can be really hard sometimes. That's where I wanted to bring the writing stuff down into my normal life, but I also didn't want to be that dude who's sitting there talking to you, writing stuff down on a pad. Like,
Right.
It depends
All
on
right,
your
I need to know
audience,
what
and
you're
it
writing
depends
about.
on the setting. Like if
Right.
I'm having like a deep one-on-one conversation with someone and like, hold that thought, I got to write this down. And anyway, we were saying,
That's the thing. That's well, that goes back to what you said. It's letting the fear of it come out. It's like fear of what people think of you just writing down stuff as you're talking to them.
Yeah.
But you're writing it for your benefit. You think something
Mhm.
that they said has enough merit and importance that you need to write it down because it's something you need to remember later.
Right.
And if you're someone that carries a
It's
journal
saying I
with you
need
at
to
all
make a mental
times,
note and
that
write
should be
the mental
something that's
note down.
more acceptable.
True.
Yeah.
That's very true.
And especially when you see, like, if I'm having a conversation with someone and then they pull out their journal, that I know that they have this journal and that they write down things, like, if anything, I'm gonna feel a little bit more gratified that, like, something that I
made it.
said, like, like in,
Yeah,
like so in class, which I haven't bought. I don't even know if he even made the book, but in one of my university classes, the professor who was working on a book, and he was like asking advice. He was like, I don't know how to start this sentence. And I'm trying to remember what I said, but I said something that just completely rocked his socks. He was just like, that is perfect. That is what I was looking for. That's what I'm going to put in the book. Like I said, I don't know if he ever made this book, but in that moment, I just thought to myself, like, this is something that's been like eating at him all day. He couldn't figure out how to put these words in the right sequence for this publication. And then I just solved his puzzle.
And that wasn't even your intention, right?
No, because I mean, like, we were all just kind of like giving him different like versions.
Oh, he asked you guys. Okay.
He asked. He was like, I need your guys' help. Like, I've been trying to figure this out. And like a few people said like their version, and then I said mine, and he was just wowed.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And we were actually able to have class.
Nice. He's trying to do a second job.
Is what all the other students were saying.
Still, I mean, even still to this day, like, he was the professor that like the other students like made fun of because he was a little bit different, you know? Like, he drove a really old car. He at Lawrence Tech was always wearing like different school clothes. Like, he was always wearing like a Princeton sweater, and he had a Harvard sweater. He had these other, and because he legitimately taught at these other schools, and then he for whatever reason chose Lawrence Tech to stay at, and then just like got tenure there.
Gotcha.
Nice. That career didn't die.
No, and as far as I know, he retired, and I don't know what he does in his retirement now. I have no idea.
That's true. Death of a career.
When you choose to let it die.
Right.
When are there signs that you should be paying attention to? Are there like denials when you should probably let a career die?
What is it? The 7 stages of death?
Six stages, I think.
Of death. Yeah.
I think it may be because I think you're thinking of the 7 stages of hell.
Grief.
Yeah.
Grief.
Acceptance. Reasoning. Acceptance.
Acceptance is the last one. So we're missing another one somewhere along the way. We almost got there. Bargaining, reasoning.
It's just like when you put an engine back together and have extra screws, we're just more efficient.
Exactly.
The other one's obviously not needed.
No.
And then you start using the product and you start realizing, oh shoot, maybe I should have put that screw into
there.
Yeah,
there's something missing here.
Something that just doesn't feel like it's fully complete. It looked like it was complete, but then you start using and you're just like, maybe it's not. That got the nerves.
Did you guys screen just glitch?
What? No, my screen didn't glitch. What are you talking about?
You're trying it again, aren't you? Trying to go back to this bit thing.
He's doing something. He's doing something, man.
Oh, the weird person in my basement. No, I the screen glitch. I wondered if you added like your computer to it or something.
No, I didn't see
Nope.
anything.
I was busy air tamborining.
Oh.
That subtle air tambourine that is highly lacked in the air bands of today.
It is. It is. It's such a underutilized tool. It can really bring.
Dude,
The entire
I
song
remember
together.
learning about like the tambourine in like music class in like elementary, and like you learn about it that early on. But then when you get into like actual like band class, like it's very subtly used. Like it's not like used in every music piece, and I'm just kind of like, why? Like you teach it so, and same for the recorder. The recorder breaks off into the flute and the clarinet and the bass clarinet and whatever you want to call it, like all the different ones, the piccolo, whatever. Like it.
That's all I remember.
You don't
from
actually
elementary
have
is a
just
recorder.
like a recorder in like actual like symphony band. Like the recorder is something that you learned about as a kid.
That's a solo instrument. You go play mythical songs with that.
And another interesting phrase that you hear all the time is like, oh, like that food is to die for. Like you got to go to this restaurant because you got to try these wings because they're to die for. Like,
oh my
you
gosh,
would
or
literally
when a new
give
store
your life
opens
to try this food.
It's yeah.
I mean, like,
they're dying to get in. They're dying to get in.
Don't
there.
get me wrong. Like,
They're
majority of
dying
the
for the
time,
new
when
release
someone,
of this
when
new
someone
game
describes
come
something
out.
as like to die for, like it's typically pretty good.
And food's usually helping you live. It's not obviously I'm doing the opposite, you know, like, but it's like, what's actually worth dying for? You know what I mean? Like, what do you value enough as a person
No kidding.
to give up your whole existence that you've built this whole stack of bricks all together and you're just like, oh, this is good enough, just tossle it all over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like,
and then you have families that have like a family member that makes like a sacrifice where like in a way they look at it as like they gave their life for like the betterment of the family. It kind of goes back to like
in what way?
if they were like kind of what we were talking about, if like the family felt like that person was like holding the family back from doing something, or if it's something that like not like sometimes
If they didn't do it, the family
would
would suffer.
Yes, something to that degree, or like if like the circumstance that was
You have to be
surrounding
careful
them
with that,
didn't
with your
happen.
value though too, because it's like some people can really think, oh well, I'm holding my whole family back, when they just have a very low self-confidence, and so you got to be careful with that at the same time. But definitely, I agree.
And it definitely depends on like you said, the kind of sacrifice that they're making, because you think about some people that are in people that are involved with like the mob per se, and they make a sacrifice that like they die, but the mob is going to take care of their family for the rest of their lives.
Right, like they go to prison and take the fall.
That, yes.
You also have people doing it for things that they believe in, like people who are police officers or military who put their lives at risk to defend, like, you know, freedom or whatever the reason it is that they go to war, you know, defend like the people back home. And it's like they're putting their lives on the line. They know statistically there's a good chance that they could die, and they're putting themselves into those situations for whatever reason they give it.
And even talking about the military as a great example, like you are literally giving your life for your country. Like you are putting your life on the line. That's why people are enlisting in the military, to defend their country. And they fully understand that they could get shot through the face at any time.
And even inside of there's people who will jump on grenades to save their whole crew. There's tons of stories of that where people will literally dive on a grenade to save their entire crew, because it's the value of their life. The value of their crew values more than just their own. So it's like, I can save many by, you know, eliminating
Sacrificing
myself.
the one.
But not everybody does that. That's a hero action. That is in my eyes, in my opinion,
people define it
that
as.
is the action of a hero. That is someone who values the world more than themselves. I'm getting literally tingles right now. Like that, just thinking about someone like that, just like it's just astounding. It's like you see the bigger picture. you
Mhm.
see that you are, no matter, some people are valuable, people are valuable, but it's like at the end of the day, like your certain actions can be even grander. You can make big strokes, big, massive swiping strokes that can do great things.
As opposed to the explosion taking out multiple people, it just takes out one.
Right?
And then, but then it also comes down to like those questions, like, would you
trolley
pull,
problem.
yeah, the trolley, would you pull the lever to kill one person, or would you not pull the lever and then let all those 20 plus people die?
Right.
Like kill one or kill multiple.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, you still have to make a choice of killing.
Right.
Yeah. The act of not acting is
Period.
still acting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's still an
100%.
action.
And I think
Right?
If you
someone
don't
came,
make one, that is one.
I think like, so they give you those two choices, then a few people will come up with the third option. And that is to pull the lever and then jump in the way of the trolley and take your own life.
You wouldn't stop the trolley.
Yeah, then you just then
Yeah,
trolley
then
you and
you
the other
stop.
guy.
The trolley. You take your own life, but then I guess the idea is like
you don't
the
feel bad
trolley-
about it because
the
you're
trolley
dead.
hit you, the trolley magically
You hate this
stops.
problem.
Like, that other
I didn't
person
kill
that's
anyone.
about to hit sees you
I'm
get
not
hit
your
by
test
the trolley,
subject.
and they're like, "Oh shoot, I need to move."
right.
that
That dude just died.
Whoa! I should probably get off these tracks.
Hey, you saved a life,
That you did. And
You
then
made
the
that
20 people
choice.
on the trolley are just
Yeah.
traumatized for the rest of their lives. And they
Right.
saw this person get creamed on the
Why didn't he
window.
just run at us or yell or throw
Oh
something?
god.
That's almost like is there like some equivalent balance? Like
It's like that. It's like
if
that.
you save someone, does someone else have to die? Like those movies, Final Destination. Does someone have to fill the shoes? Because you saved someone, did someone else die?
Right.
Or if you have some people that just they feel like they've gone through an experience that like they just are not worth living. Like the end of
Yes.
like the ending of Hostel,
Survivor's guilt.
where that lady just jumps in the way of that train, and I mean she's got like her eye dangling, so I mean like
Oh yeah.
it's not a great scene
That is-
whatsoever, but it's just like he was trying to save you. He like legitimately you had to just get on this train, and there are medical professionals that can probably like put your eye back into place. Like he was saving your life, and then you decided to take it.
Yeah, but to an extent, the medical professionals probably couldn't take the trauma out of her brain at that
That's
point. The things that
true.
she had
And
to
that's-
spend.
and that's
you can
what-
talk
that's
to a
what it
therapist
is.
and you can battle
You
with
can.
it. You
The
know what I mean?
trauma
Like,
alone, it was like I don't want to live anymore.
and that's what's hard is it's like there can be moments like that, and those moments can be fleeting, and that's where I had to correct that, or I had to say something with that with valuing, because it's like, yeah, you may feel like you're a burden to your family sometimes, you know what I mean, but they might not feel that way about you, and they especially probably don't feel like that way about you all the time, you know what I mean, and there's different ways you can bring value, and even no matter your situation, there's different ways you can bring value. Like for instance, she's been through a terrible fucked up instance. If she can overcome that, think how many people she can help and talk through the other fucked up situations that they've been through. It's just like
True
my life.
story, right?
Like I wouldn't change a moment in my life because it's given me the tools to work with the world in the way that I want to. You know, all the good and the bad, the people I've had to deal with my entire life gives me that tool to work with more people like that later on. You know, and it's like it sucked then, but that's done. That's over.
That's
I'm
the
not there
whole
no
deal
more.
of you learn from your experiences. Like you have, like people go through a traumatizing experience and then they just let it dictate the rest of their lives. Or you can grow stronger after having experienced said traumatizing experience. You can help others recover and grow stronger after experiencing said traumatizing experience, even though in some cases is an experience that you don't want to be recurring. But at the end of the day, people are messed up and things are going to happen. But it's better if there's someone that person can talk to that can actually like help them move forward and be a contributing person to society,
Empathizes,
rather than
knows what they've
someone
gone
that
through.
just locks themselves away, that just like shuts the rest of the world out because they feel the victim.
Yeah, and that could be a period of it. You know what I mean? Like you can go through those times. That's where it's like,
because you are a victim.
Yeah,
I mean, you get the drug.
life
you
because
screwed
are a
you
victim.
over. Life
And I
slapped you in
mean-
a freaking face. You know what I mean? It does it to us all. And it's like,
But
sometimes that can
that's
really
the
knock
thing.
you the fuck down.
Like,
and it's
it
like,
can.
what do you do with that?
I hate to,
But you
I
have
hate
to get
to,
back up
I hate to
eventually,
put
right?
like
You have to.
levels of
Right.
judgment on people's traumatizing experiences, but it's like I've researched and read about so many different people that it's like they had a traumatizing experience, but they grew stronger from it. They wrote a
Always.
book about
Mhm.
it, and they're trying to help people realize that they don't have to just stay shut in these rooms, that they can live successful lives after having something happen that can make them stronger.
Your
It's all
past
mindset.
is your
It's
past.
all how you grow and how you advance and your next move.
right.
It's
Like that.
classic Saiyan philosophy. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. The closer,
Yeah,
the
and
more
they-
it
and they
hurts
got-
you, the
they got
stronger you
much
become
stronger
from it.
after they didn't
Yep.
get killed.
Yeah. It's just like same
They'd
thing.
be on
It's like,
they'd be on their last leg of life, but then
That's-
they recover and they're much stronger.
that's
Yeah.
even getting ripped. Like if someone's getting ripped, you're literally tearing the muscles so they can really grow on top of each other. You're pushing yourself to the other limits where you're tearing your body to its utter limits so that it can grow stronger. You know what I mean? Like we're Saiyans.
100%.
It's what you do with that. It's what you do with that energy.
So many avenues that you can go with that, you know, and we're all capable of the same things to an extent. How we
To an
how we
extent.
utilize our energy, you know.
I mean,
When you
if-
strip away the money, strip away the skills, like learned skills at the core, we all start.
yeah,
with the
when you
same
look at it
thing.
in terms of like we're all people with a body with human essence.
Right.
Yes.
And you can do some form of the thing you want to do. You know what I mean? Like your
If you want
talents
to
might
do
there.
it
You
bad
might not be
enough,
able
you're
to
gonna find a
operate
way to incorporate
exactly.
it.
Right.
Like it might not be to perfection, it may not that, but you know what? Some people might listen to you. People might appreciate that, or it might inspire people that, wow, this dude needs to do this so bad. He's not even that good, but does this every day. He's
I'm
out
pretty
here
sure
every day. you
9
know?
times out of 10,
Practice
that's how the
makes
greatest
perfect.
innovations come from. It's the person who
Right.
doesn't know what they're doing, but they're gonna find a way to make it so they can do it.
Mhm.
Yes. It's like
It's like
I don't
that,
know.
and it's like
I don't
that
have the
girl that you were
tools either.
talking about on that other episode, that she's been playing violin her entire life, that she wants to do something different because she finally has
Yeah.
that ability.
Right. Right. You like it's your life. You know what I mean? And like it's where I feel we get caught up in that so much time. And it's like death is down the road.
And the what you're supposed to do and stuff, and it's like,
right. Living under other
Wh-
people's
wh-
standards. Why am I so
Yeah,
unhappy
that
when I have
too.
all this stuff that I was told if I had, I'd be happy?
yes,
Because other people
100%.
told you that. Like you got to define what you need to surround yourself with, who you need to surround yourself with.
just
You know what I
because
mean?
they
And if
told
you
you
need
that's what makes
stuff.
you happy, you got to
Right.
decide what makes you happy.
Right. Stuff is a
100%.
dangerous thing to use as a make me happy.
It is.
Oh
'Cause
yeah,
it's fleeting.
because nowadays they make stuff for just about every single level of satisfaction that human needs.
Yep. And it
And
can
they
be
make
delivered
it
to your house in 2
extremely
days.
yes.
And yes, it can be delivered in your house very quickly.
It's an instant gratification, you know? And that's where I feel like too is like we were talking about this today too, where it's like that's where I feel like we fear death more as a culture too, is because our need to analyze it. Because one of my friends was telling me about like she watched this video where they compared a rugby match to a football match. And it's just drastically different because like during the football match, it's on this yard and this and this and this guy and this are all his stats. And then they're telling you every little bit of the knowledge of what is going on right in front of your face. And on the rugby match, it's like, isn't it a nice day today?
Yeah.
Wow, that was a great play. They don't need to sit there and rub their ego and tell you how much they know about sports. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, hey, appreciate what's in front of you. And like, that's how we are about death too, is like, what happens when you die? What are we going to do when you die? What is it? You're going to die, whether you know what happens afterward. No, you're going to die. You're not going to stop
Doesn't
it.
matter.
You're not going to prevent death. Death is going to happen.
Yep.
Stop
The end-
analyzing
the
it.
ending
Do.
result is going to
Do.
be the same.
Do
Stop fearing
something
it,
before it
do it.
comes.
Right.
Yep. Know it's
Don't-
coming at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you flinch and you let fear take over, you know what I mean? Like death isn't something to fear. It's something that's around us constantly. It's the only reason we can eat. It's the only reason that we can live is because of death. And it's like, we don't need to be afraid of it. It doesn't need to be taboo. It doesn't need to be something we can't talk about. Like death is an everyday existence. And I think that what makes it harder on us as people is because it is so taboo. We don't know how to handle it. We don't know how to handle death.
I mean, technically, if it makes people feel better, technically we're all dying right now.
Mm-hmm. Some faster than others.
To a degree, we are all dying consistently.
Well,
Well,
we have a
tomorrow's not
clock
even
that's
promised.
ticking.
You could get in an accident tomorrow. You could choke. You could whatever. Like
something could hit the planet tonight.
Yes, everybody could.
Knock on some wood. Yeah. I could be involved in an accident yesterday.
Yeah, dude. Kev, you said you had a freaking a branch come down in front of your car. Like,
it was a tiny tree branch, but.
Dude, at speeds, it doesn't matter. Like deer kill people, like all that. Like it's there's so many ways that life is trying to kill you.
That time that deer ran into your car.
Right.
Oh my god.
Was out. Nature was out for me that day, you know?
Or maybe that deer just felt like, you know what? I've had it and this thing can actually do it. And I'm gonna run right into it.
Oh man.
Trying to decide to change his mind. He got up and walked away.
Yeah, he's like, no, I'll give it another go.
You thought your car was tough?
Well, that's a good point too. It's like, I wonder if that deer had the same thing that happens to people. I wonder, like, because people can die and be resuscitated. You know what I mean? People can die for like they've had like a few minutes and brought them back. There was one lady who was frozen for hours. It was a young girl who was frozen for hours.
They froze her?
She went out like wandering in the snow. Like she got out of her house and like fell into the snow and like froze. And they found her like a couple hours later. And like they brought her to the hospital and like unthawed her. And she's like survived.
Incredible.
Yeah.
That is incredible.
It was on Believe It or Not.
But I guess
it was actually
cryogenically
it comes down to
person
like if you freeze, like yes, the heart stops, but then if you can resume that heartbeat, if you can resume that heartbeat, like that.
Well, that's how
you get back on.
Hibernation works. It slows your heart rate down, so your metabolism slows down, so you age slower. Technically, you're I don't know if that's technically, but I feel like you're aging slower because your metabolism is going slower.
Now, are there any reports on how much brain activity that woman lost from the length of time that she was dead?
I feel like I wondered that too, and I don't think she said she had any long-term lasting effects besides some frostbite.
Not yet.
Right. But so it's like, so I think what happened to her is she didn't fully die or lose oxygen. I think she went into almost like a hibernation state where, because you're still breathing.
Her body went on power saving mode.
Exactly. Like that's what hibernation is. It's just slow things down. What's important? What things do I need to focus on?
Let's just shut off the non-essential functions.
It's kind of like
keep this show going.
It's kind of like an alligator and a crocodile. They can like underwater, they can like slow their heartbeat down to like 1 to 2 beats a minute
to better utilize their oxygen in their blood flow. That's awesome.
Well, when they're underwater, so they don't
because they breathe air above water, right?
They don't need to take in the oxygen when it's only beating at like 1 beat per minute.
They don't need to reoxygenate.
It was incredible to learn about.
Interesting.
It's crazy, the human body, when you think of it like that.
Well, that's
an engineering.
That's their shortcut. That's their cheat code. That's, hey, I can't breathe underwater. I'm not going to develop gills, so I'm going to learn how to not need air. Like, that's wild.
Now think if humans could do the same thing.
Well, not need air, but how to better determine where it's going to get used to.
And there are like
it's more efficient.
There are some like personal exercises that you can like control your breathing, that you can like slow your heartbeat.
Yeah. So I was actually watching a study on this a couple of days ago, and it's about this like college in California, and what they study is the relation between your heart and your emotion. And the fact that, because everybody like disconnected that when it went to science, your emotions in the brain and stuff like that. But they said, well, every time that your emotions change, your heart speeds up and your heart slows down, and there's different things that associate with that. And one of the biggest things I got from that is the way that you can take yourself out of emotion is a deep breath. Just that simple deep breath naturally slows your heart. So, and that's true, is when you're angry, when you're flustered, when your heart is racing. You know what I mean?
And how often do you hold your breath as your
and it's
anger
just
blowing up or something?
breathe. You know, and it's just what you tell kids and so too, is just take a deep breath, stop crying, just breathe. You know what I mean? Just take it in for a second.
It's not nearly as bad as they're making it out to be.
Right?
Just breathe.
And it's simple too. It's so crazy that we just got to remind ourselves to breathe. We're not doing it efficiently enough to keep ourselves oxygenated. And it's just,
we're too busy. We're too busy to breathe.
Yeah, we're too busy.
Nobody got time for that.
Yeah. And that's the same thing with food. You can take out all your primal functions, like food. Like I'm not hungry if I'm super focused on a project. You know, I'll forget to drink where I'm super dehydrated by the end of it. And it's like, I am kind of killing myself to do this thing. Like I am taking away all the necessities that I need from life as like a trade-off. If I kept doing that for 3 more days, I'd be dead. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's just, you just forget, you get lost. It's not important. Life isn't important. Life isn't important when you're focused, you know?
Well, life is happening. That's why you're too focused.
Yeah.
You're too focused on creating whatever life you're creating here.
I had this
conversation
about video games with relationships where, like they'll go into the room and try to say something to their like spouse or something like that, and they're just like, you know what I mean? Because they're so entranced in the video games, they're off in this other world where this partnership that they've developed is just like, you know, second seat, and it's just like, it's this disconnect, and like you can pull yourself in and out of life when you want to, and you can disconnect from yourself from life when you want to, and that's where you got to be careful of how much you be
conscious.
Yes,
be conscious of when and who you're doing it to, and what
Yes.
you're doing it for.
Right. If you're escaping, and that's nice, and you're gonna escape all the time, and you're gonna slowly lose your normal life by escaping.
You're slowly starting to kill off your normal life.
Yeah,
and you're
trading
escaping, but you're probably escaping for a reason, right?
But the thing is you're escaping instead of dealing with something.
At what point?
And yes, you're dealing with something.
At what point does your reason become an excuse?
Yeah,
that's a good question.
Exactly. And that's where I think for me a lot is my reasons are usually excuses. Like even I was thinking about this as management. It's like, if you know what something's done and like you didn't do it this time, I don't need some big elaborate story why you didn't do it. It's be like, hey, I'm sorry I didn't do it. I'll do it next time. You know, It's the same thing I try to do with myself, is I try not to give people excuses or reasons for why I did all. Hey, dude, whatever reason that happened, I won't let it happen again. You know what I mean? Because that's all they want to hear is like, dude, that's not your normal action.
Yeah, they just want to hear that you recognize that it's something that is not your norm and that you're going to work better, that it doesn't happen again. As long as you're just like, hey, sorry, it happened, we're going to move on. Like, that's different than like, hey, sorry, it happened, I'm not going to let it happen. Like, it's on me and I'm going to grow from this.
Right. Now, oh, well, this happened and then this, and then, oh man, you wouldn't even believe this. And then that. It's like,
that's kind of how it was at some of the other places I would work at, where it's like it's like something would happen. It's like, oh yeah, it is what it is. Like, yeah, it happened. Like, what are we going to do? Like, go back in time and make it not happen. It's like, I understand where you're coming from, but at the same time, you're not receiving the message. Like, I need you to recognize that it happened and recognize that you can't let it happen again.
And there are people in business, though, that don't appreciate that about life, who don't like, where I feel like that's where some of that comes from, where people will be like,
you should be a company man.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that your mom died or this happened and You should be here tomorrow.
You should have planned for this.
Yeah. And it's
mom should have planned for this.
It was actually really interesting when I was working at one of the places, and like when my father passed, I was only out for like, I think 2 or 3 days of like the 5 that they allow you for bereavement. So they were like, you don't have to be here right now. Like, you can go home. You can go the entire 5 days for bereavement. I'm like, I'm good. I did my bereavement.
Awesome on them, though.
I know, like, it was
for expecting that, and just
that was something different about that company, where I was just like, they really do care about like your mental health. Like, they were telling me like I should be bereaving, but like I'd already done my bereaving.
Nice. And that's good on you for being aware enough of yourself about that. You know what I mean? Like so many people aren't self-aware about their own emotions and digesting, especially something as hard as that. Like,
Yeah, that's huge. And I don't even know how to imagine what you went through. And that happens, I can't even begin to guess what I would go through with that. And
It's something you deal with it as it happens. It's not
Yep.
it's not something that like I could just, which now that it's happened to one, I have been thinking about what happens when it happens to the other. But even ahead of the time, like before it happened to my father, like I wasn't readily thinking like what's going to happen when my dad's not here.
right, like
Right.
that's not even a thought that crosses your mind, right?
did you think about that at
Not
all when you
really.
were young?
Not as much.
So that's where something that would keep me up every night. I would think about, I'm going to die. My parents are going to die. Everybody in the world's going to die. Dude, I couldn't sleep. I was just like, don't let all these people die. When are they
But-
going
and
to
that's-
die?
and
Like,
at the same
I wouldn't
time,
sleep for nights.
That's
on
why
end. It was
you have to
bad.
be very sensitive when you bring death into the picture for like a child, because you still want that child to believe that there's a reason for living. Like, yes, everyone's going to die, but buddy, that's the joy of us living, is that
Mhm.
we're all going to die one day, and what are we going to do with our life that we have to live?
See, and that's never a conversation that was had with me. That's a ideology that I had to figure out later on my own.
Mhm.
Like,
Same
and
here.
like even come that so I'd have that conversation with hunting is where we had that. Like, you need to kill other animals to sustain yourself, just as you would with plants and farms and everything else like that. You don't kill stuff just to kill stuff. If you're going to kill it, you're going to eat it. You know what I mean? You don't just kill to kill. That's not the point.
You need to
unless
have
you're
a purpose.
over
Right.
in Africa poaching, which is messed up.
Yeah. And it's like,
You need the horns and stuff
yeah.
for your wall.
Or then,
Right.
or even take it a step
Completes the
further,
room.
someone that just kills endangered species for fun,
Yeah. Or even people's pets and stuff for fun.
like just
You know what I
to
mean? Like-
mount it on their wall. Like, I killed this.
It's literally it's an ego thing. It's a pride thing. I have power. I have power over this because I killed it. And that's where serial killers come from too. It's usually a mom issue where they have something against their mom and they felt no control over their lives. And like, this is their sense of control over society. This is their sense of control over women. This is their sense of control.
And it's because at the end
is
of
by
the day,
killing
we all
things.
just want to feel like we are in control of what we're in control of.
But that's where I'm trying to do the opposite. I'm trying to feel okay with not being in control.
This,
it's
take
not
a
gonna
step
be the
back.
truth.
Okay, what do I?
There's a
have to go
degree.
on?
There's a degree
My
to
life,
it.
right?
Like,
Right.
you want to
This I have
know.
control over.
Yep.
You want to exactly, like, you can control the decisions that you make. You can't control the decisions that other people make.
Yep.
Right.
And you have to accept that.
And vice
Mhm.
versa. You got to remember the vice versa too, though.
Yes, that you are controlling the decisions you make, and then they affect other people in different ways.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, you are fully accountable, and you have to hold yourself accountable, and you have to apologize, and you have to make up for your actions. Like, so many people are like, "Oops, I did that. Well, let's move on. Hope no one noticed." And it's like, dude, like, you can still make up for it. Just because you fucked up doesn't mean you have to stay fucked up. Like, go make up for your
100%.
actions. Like, you can fuck up and admit to it and better your action. Like, make it not as much of a disaster to somebody else's life.
Can you actually contemplate all of those decisions though all the time, like all the ripple effects? I guess that's
You
going
can't.
back to like the butterfly, right?
That's where I'd say it's your intent.
Mhm.
Like, you
It
can
would come
say
down to
you
that,
can
yeah.
say
That's
whatever
true.
you want,
100%.
and people can interpret 1,000 different ways. But if you have an intent behind it, when someone questions you, you could be like, "Oh, well, this is what I meant by it, and this is
Yeah.
why I meant it, and this is where I'm coming from, and I'm sorry it made you feel that way.
But
I'm
that
not
wasn't
sorry
my
that it
intention.
happened. I'm not sorry that it happened. I'm sorry it
Yes.
made you feel that way. But I did this for this reason, because I had to express this, or I had to get this out." And maybe listen to them and, take an accountability so you can better express yourself the next time without having that same interaction. Or maybe they're just super sensitive because of something that happened in their, childhood or their life.
Right.
There's all different factors. And that's where it's just like, especially if you want to have conversations are hard. That's why there's so much stress behind them. It's like, to have a comfortable conversation, you have to be respectful and understanding and empathetic.
Because you just don't know how that other person's going to react.
And you got to be,
Yeah,
that's why some
and you got to be
people just
willing to
even
listen to what they
avoid
have to say
having
too.
that conversation. And some people
Yeah.
take it to their grave.
Yeah, that's where a conversation could just die. You know what I mean? If there's nothing, there's people aren't giving into it. Both people aren't contributing to it. It's just dead air, you know?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody carries air instruments with them.
You just break
Right.
out into an air band.
Yeah.
What did we learn?
So what I've kind of grown to understand then is it's not so much the way people view death, it's how the death affects them and how they go about dealing with the death.
I think this helped me understand what's worth dying for is usually the people that we care about. And it's a value that we have to put on for ourselves. It's not always people, because sometimes it's animals and things, what else, but it's the things that we care about that we value.
It absolutely, in my opinion, is that our bodies are expiring, but that's what gives us life. And that's what gives us like the motivation towards doing things with our bodies while we still have them functioning.
What? Yeah, give me a sec. I'll be right back, guys. Give me a sec.
All right, we'll come up with
Okay.
something. All right.
How are you guys still talking? I need to put an end to this.
Boys, who puked in the van?
Oh shit!
Coming, Ma.
Sorry about that. Where'd you guys go? Well, I guess we're not ending this podcast.
Well,
How much faster is Santa Claus than you?
Don't make me show you a sling that you'll never forget.
Did you say sling?
I said sling. I am not Santa Claus. I am not imaginary. I don't have elves. I don't follow around a red-nosed reindeer.
red
I
nose.
kill the
Hypothetically.
reindeer. I kill the fat men. And if you want to see and want to keep taunting me, I'll show you what I can do.
All right. I'm just curious. I have a curious mind. I'm sorry. I wanted to.
Right, I'm gonna re-record my thing real quick. Damn it! I just fucking got it.
Oh, I'm totally.
Oh!
I am totally
I had
using
it.
that. I am.
I think this helped me understand the value of mother, dude. Kevin, go, man. I need to compose myself for a couple minutes. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with me. I had it all together in my mind.
What you got, Kevron?
Okay, so let's talk about death, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good.
EETH.
If you doubt my powers, I will end you and this entire show. You'll see. You'll see.
We'll see. All right. Bam.